Hello everybody, Raven Knight here. I was asked a very interesting thing the other day. Actually, not just the other day, I've been asked this frequently, but it just came up the other day again. People have been asking me, hey Raven, you write a lot of stories and short stories. We'd love it if you shared some of them. In fact, there's a specific one we'd like you to share. And so I thought, well, you know what? I don't mind talking about this specific story that y'all are requesting, but I don't want to just talk about that. I'd like to, if I'm going to do this at all, make sort of a, small series about where I just share story ideas or story concepts that I've come up with and just share them with you guys. It's a great way for me to share with you some of the creative ideas that I have, as well as share some of the art for these stories so that I can advertise the artists who help me with them. So with that out of the way, I'd like to talk to you guys about the one that's been requested so much, and that would be Everyday Life with Raptors. So to start off with, let's talk about the inspiration for this. What got this started? Well, there were two inspirations for Everyday Life with Raptors. The big one was Jurassic World. Now, for those who don't know, I was a huge dinosaur fan as a child. I love dinosaurs, and my favorite dinosaurs were raptors. So you can imagine that in Jurassic World, when I saw Chris Pratt playing Owen Grady, training for raptors, I was kind of like, okay, yes, this is me. This is what I love right there. That is awesome. And that was probably my favorite part about the movie. One of the only things I really liked about the movie, if I'm being honest. I could watch the rest of it and kind of like, okay, this is interesting. But when I saw the raptors, I was like, yes, this is what I love. It appealed to my inner child. So I really liked that aspect of it. And then I also, when I went to college, ended up watching the TV show or anime, Monster Musume, which is also known as Everyday Life with Monster Girls. And I watched it, and the premise of Everyday Life with Monster Girls created an interesting concept. Basically, the idea was that you have these monsters, like demi-humans or non-humans, and they have existed separate from humans for a long time on an island or some other hidden place. And only recently, humans have learned about their existence. And so the humans decide we're going to create an interspecies exchange bill where these monster people can come and live in Japan in host homes and try to learn about human society.
The bill was enacted to allow interaction between humans and non-human species that, until recently, were kept secret by the government.
Now, of course, being a harem anime and an ecchi anime, it follows a young man who ends up with a bunch of different monster girls in his house at once who all are thirsty for him. But that's not what appealed to me. I was kind of like, that's an interesting idea. How would that work in, not Japan, in America? How would America adopt an interspecies exchange bill? How would that look? And if monsters wanted to be part of everyday society, get a job in society, could they join the police force? Heck, could they join the military? There's a lot of things that kind of appeal to me to that. And then I took that concept and thought, wait. The whole point in Jurassic World with Owen training the raptors was so they could be used for the military.
We know that the military needs to reduce casualties. Some people think that robots are the future. Look, nature gave us the most effective killing machines 75 million years ago. And now we know they can take orders.
That was the whole thing. That was the whole test, to see if these raptors could have military application. Now, of course, Owen didn't want them to. He thought, no, that this is a bad idea. They are ancient creatures that we should not be using for the military.
A field test. Hey, I've just seen they can respond to commands. We need to take the research and get it on its feet.
The wild animals, Hoskins, trust me, you don't want them in a field.
But that still begs the question. Could that happen? So I thought it over, and I remembered that each of the raptors in Jurassic World were female, and they all went by designations. You had Blue, Charlie, Delta, and Echo. And so I thought, what if we combine the two ideas? Let's take the concept of Monster Musume, or Everyday Life with the Monster Girls, and transition it to America, where we have the Raptor Girls as those kind of monsters. They're basically doing their own exchange program, but instead of just learning about human society, they're actually training to be soldiers. They're training to be a special strike force team. Because if you've ever watched Every Life with Monster Girls, there's a group called the Mon Squad, which are basically monsters who are specifically trained to deal with extra species threats. Because there's this rule in the interspecies exchange bill that monsters cannot hurt humans and humans cannot hurt monsters. And so if a monster breaks the law, humans can't do anything about it. So the Mon Squad is sent in to deal with it. And I thought, what if we had something similar in America where you had this Raptor Squad specifically designed to take down monster threats? Like if you had like minotaurs or orcs or something holding up a mall, you could send in this squad and they deal with the problem because they're apex predators. They can deal with it, you know? And so that was where that whole idea came from. That's where the whole concept came from. But more than that, I thought it'd be funny if I kind of did a retelling of Jurassic World through this medium. And that's why if you look at the cover for the story, you see the Indominus Rex at the top of the page because she has a role to play in the story too, but we're not talking about her. At least not yet. We'll get to her. So after I had this idea, I proposed it to Hannah. Now, if you know, and now the thing you need to understand about Hannah is a wonderful girl. She and I have been friends for a very, very long time. But with that said, one thing that Hannah often has trouble with is expressing herself very well. Quite often, if I give her a story idea, her response is usually, okay, or that sounds fine, or I like it. I never really feel like she's really into the story at all. I never really feel like anything appeals to her. So I'm kind of like, are you sure you like it? Or are you just saying that? Like, no, I like it. And she may mean it. She may mean it too. She's not lying, but sometimes I'm kind of like, I don't know. But when I told her about this, her response was, oh, okay. Her response was, do it. Like, just make this happen. In fact, I want to be part of this. I want to help. I want to design them. And so I'm like, okay. Works for me. So let's go. And so at first it was kind of just a joking thing. I was just kind of writing out ideas. But over time, the characters really started to take form. And it's surprising how well they did. So here they are. First up, you got the oldest, Blue, and the one that you probably all know because Blue is the one who survived Jurassic World, showed up again in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and I think will show up again in Jurassic World Dominion. I don't know if she does. I have not seen the movie. I don't have a lot of desire to see the movie. If Blue's in it, someone let me know. I'd be very interested to know. But regardless of that. So Blue's the leader of the girls. She's the oldest sister, and she is she's the boss. But she's also the most level-headed. She's probably the one who you can trust above the others. She's the one who kind of gives the orders. In fact, according to what the story says, she was the alpha of the group before Owen came into their lives. Because they were transferred into Owen's care. And once they were, Owen became the alpha. She became the beta. And so she is dedicated to following Owen's orders. She's dedicated to the girls all having a successful, happy life. And so that's why she's so willing to follow his orders. It's not because of some romantic affection. It's because she trusts him to protect her sisters. That's one thing that I always thought was funny. I played with the idea of Blue being romantically involved with Owen, but decided against that. Only because while it would be funny, I don't see Blue being that way. I see Blue more of having a very trusting relationship with him. To her, you got to recognize she grew up with her sisters and she has had very limited exposure to humans. She has no reason to trust humans. But Owen is the one who claims that he's going to take care of them and help guide them into a better future, help them have a better life together. And so if he's giving this promise and all she has to do is do what he says, well, shape up. Let's follow and do what he says because that's the way it goes. The girls all trust her. She is their undisputed leader because she's the best tactician. She is the oldest. And she also has this habit of getting very harsh with some of them, like Delta especially, since she causes so much trouble. Like she can be very hard on Delta sometimes, which causes some animosity. But she still means well. She still loves all of her sisters, and they love her unconditionally. So Blue was very easy to write, if a little bit bland to write. After Blue, you got Echo. She's the second oldest. And actually, the funny thing about Echo is I was doing some research into the background of the Jurassic World story. Supposedly, Echo has this scar on her face because when they were children, Echo and Blue fought each other for the right to dominate the group, the right to be the alpha. And in the process, not only did Blue win, but Blue scarred Echo's face. And so I thought, let's play with that. So I wrote it that Echo used to be very aggressive, cocky, headstrong, and very full of herself. And so when she challenged Blue for the right to leadership, the two got into a fight over it, and Blue ended up giving her the scar. And so now, instead of being that cocky, headstrong individual, she's now demure, shy, scared, and timid. She is afraid of showing her face. She lets her hair mostly cover her face because she doesn't want people to see the ugly scar on her face that Blue gave her. She is a shell of who she used to be, essentially, and the girls hate that. They hate that she's kind of broken down about this. And no one questions that Blue should be leader. They're all like, no, Blue was the right leader anyway. She was more level-headed. But they hate that the fight turned out with Echo kind of becoming a recluse. And part of Echo's story through the course of the story, like her character development, is her trying to come out of her shell again, which is very difficult, and she resists it vehemently. She will not question any order. If Blue tells her to do something, she doesn't even ask why she does it, because part of it is respect for Blue. Another part of it is a mild fear, because she's afraid of discipline. Now, Blue isn't the kind of person to whip her girls into shape. You know, she's not going to whip the sisters into shape, but she also remembers that defiance led to pain, and so she doesn't want to be defiant, which means she's kind of a doormat right now. She'll do whatever anyone else tells her because she's afraid of defiance. And so it's a fascinating character to work with. Echo was given so little time in the actual movie, you barely remember Echo. Echo was actually killed in the movie by the Indominus, so writing her is, you don't even remember which one she was, do you? So it's like, unless you're a diehard fan, you don't know which one Echo was. So it's kind of like I had to be very creative with how I designed her, but I had a lot of fun. Echo is one that I feel like really resonated well because she has that personality, and so I really enjoyed her. After Echo is the third oldest is Delta. Delta is a firecracker. She is very if Echo is the one, if Echo is the one who's super demure and scared, Delta's the complete opposite. Delta is a rebel. She wants to resist. She wants to stand up to authority. And the reason I wrote her that way is because I remember that Delta was named quite a few times in Jurassic World, and she was the one who was often much more aggressive, if I recall. Like, Delta was the one who kept hissing and snapping at Owen when Owen was in the pit with her.
Delta, I see you. Back up. Okay.
So I'm kind of like, that kind of adds up, doesn't it? She'd be the more aggressive one. So when writing Delta, I thought about the fact that Delta probably resents Owen. Whereas with Blue, who accepts Owen immediately because Owen has promised them a good life, and Echo, who's not willing to resist anybody, Delta's the one who wants to resist. She does not like the fact that authority has been taken away from Blue. Owen is not a raptor. Owen is not like them. Owen doesn't understand them. He couldn't possibly understand them. Why should this person who is nothing like them lead them? Like, that doesn't make any sense to her. So she resents Owen for what he is. Oh, she'll follow his orders because Blue says so. But if Blue wasn't giving the orders to follow him, she wouldn't. And she makes that clear. She constantly makes jokes throughout the story or snide remarks that if it wasn't for Blue, he'd be food. You know, like, basically, I have no respect for you and I don't want to have any respect for you. We're raptors and we should kill you. You are a lesser being than us. And so there's this kind of hatred that she demonstrates. But is it really hatred? There's kind of this, her story arc has kind of been this, is it really so much that she hates Owen, or is it that she hates the change that he presents? Owen is trying to help bring them into the modern world, whereas Delta is in love with who she is. Have you ever met a person who is super proud of their ancestors, and so they try very hard to emulate their ancestors in everything they do? Like a person who says, oh, I found out that I was a descendant of Vikings, so I want to live like a Viking. I want to live off the land. I want to grow my beard out super long. And even though people go, you know, you don't have to live like a Viking anymore. We live in the 21st century. No, I need to live like my ancestors. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but that's very much what Delta is. We're raptors. We're dinosaurs. We're hunter-killers. We need to be like that. Why are we trying to modernize? Why are we trying to live like normal people? We should be raptors. These people should fear us. That's the way she feels. And so Owen promising them a happy life, a normal life, on the one hand, she's happy about that. Good, we can get a normal life. But on the other hand, do we want to betray what we are? And so because of that, she's constantly resisting what Owen's offering, constantly resisting what they are. And she gets very angry when she sees Blue or Echo or Charlie just go along with whatever Owen says without even questioning it. Like, are we really just going to do whatever this human says? Really? So she gets very upset with that. And there is a moment in the story where she loses it and goes off on Blue, and it turns into a whole thing, but I don't want to spoil too much. And then finally, we have Charlie, the baby of the group, the youngest. Charlie is Hannah's favorite. Charlie is the youngest, and therefore the one who has the least amount of understanding of their current situation. She is immature. She likes to play more than she likes to work. She is the one who will get very distracted. She's the one that while the rest of the crew is doing a job or doing a training exercise, she's the one who gets distracted by butterflies. She's the one who would rather spend her time playing with toys and playing video games than she would actually doing schoolwork. You know what I mean? And I think that's what Hannah likes so much about her. She is so energetic, so excitable. Like she loves to have fun. Another reason why Hannah, I think, likes her is because, for those who do not know, in the movie, Charlie was the one who got blown up by a bazooka. She was the one who got shot by a rocket launcher. So Hannah was very upset that Charlie, the youngest, the baby, was the first to die, and in such a horrible way. And so I think she wants me to try to protect Charlie. But again, if I write this the way the movie goes, that's not going to be easy to do. Point being, Charlie's the one who I enjoy writing the most, but also the least. I say the most because her energetic and childish nature makes her kind of unique to write, but the least because sometimes I feel like when I do write her, it can derail the plot and the direction I want to go. The key with writing a character like Charlie is to remind myself that while she is not going along with the plot, she is still confined to it. So I have to make sure that her outbursts or her actions or her crazy moments do not detract from what the rest of the story is doing. And you might think that doesn't sound too hard. It can be, especially when I'm interested in what Charlie's doing and I want to follow her on it. So sometimes I have to stop myself and go, okay, pull it back, bring it back together. But Charlie's a lot of fun to write. I've really just enjoyed working, not just with Charlie, but with all the girls. But Charlie is kind of special. She's one that we definitely enjoy. And then, of course, you've got Owen. Now, writing Owen a little differently, Chris Pratt's character in the movie is phenomenal. And I kind of thought to myself a lot, how could I write him in a believable way in this context? And very much the guy who, I kind of wrote him the same way he is in the movie, isn't really sure he wants to be part of this at all. He was in the Navy. He was pulled out of the Navy to come in and train these girls. He knows more about the girls than he lets on. He knows about the circumstances for which they came in. In fact, he knows more about them than they realize, and that is going to become a major plot point later. He knows a secret about them and about their upbringing that they're not even aware of, and when it gets revealed what he knows, that's going to really, really push things in a very bad direction. He is not romantically invested in any of them, but he loves all four of them, almost like they were his children. And he cares about them. He really does want them to have a happy life. He constantly fights for them. In fact, there is a courtroom scene. Yes, there is an actual scene in court where the girls are brought up on a trial to determine whether or not they are just weapons to be used for war or whether they are thinking, feeling soldiers, because that determines a lot in terms of what's going to happen to them in the future. And Owen has to be a key witness for this because, well, he's their handler. So there's a lot that goes into this. Writing him out was a lot of fun, and Hannah and I have had just so much fun building on this story. If you want to read the story thus far, it's on my DeviantArt page, and I can give you a link in the description to go check it out. It's a lot of fun to write, but I'm glad that I got to share the story with you guys. I don't know why you guys requested this one so much. It's kind of an obscure one, but y'all seemed very interested, so I hope y'all enjoyed this short little story sharing time that y'all got. I may do more of these in the future if you'd like, but until then, I will see you in my next video. Hope you enjoyed, and take care.